Labour's poll lead is supported by one major fact which happened in 2010, 2011, the first year of the coalition, when those who'd voted Lib Dem, a large proportion of them, switched to Labour. And we find that that represents probably about 5 or 6% of the total electorate, which is massive. And that switch, to put it into context, is equal to the entire increase in the Tory vote from 1997 onwards. So it is massive. And all the evidence is that that is sticking with Labour. Now, while that sticks with Labour, it's very hard to say anything other than Labour certainly going to come out with most seats. And when I look at a poll in detail, I always look, first of all, 2010 Lib Dems, is there any evidence at all of any erosion in that? And so far there isn't.
Over the next 12 months, the most important issue is going to be the economy. Although at the moment, when we ask people and when other organisations ask people, we have immigration and the economy neck and neck in terms of most important issue facing the country. When you ask people what's the most important issue facing them and their families, it's the economy. And it has been the economy throughout the duration in this Parliament. And so how the parties respond to that desire for strong policies on the economy will influence the result next time around.
The constituencies I like are those where UKIP might be in with a shout, those where the betting odds are long enough for me to be attracted, because I don't like investing a lot of money on something where I'm getting less than evens. So I do have money on Eastleigh, UKIP winning Eastleigh. I've got 11-2 on that. Unfortunately, a poll came out 2 weeks ago which showed that they were about 15% behind in Eastleigh, so that's some maybe money down the tube, but who knows. Another good constituency, which is going to be the biggest betting constituency of all this time, will be Watford, which is a supercharged three-way marginal. And it's very hard to choose between the candidates. Currently, the Conservatives hold it. They won it in 2010, but the mayor of Watford is a Liberal Democrat who last May was re-elected for the 4th time. And elected mayors, like in London, they're powerful and they're well-known figures. And the tip is if she ran for mayor, if she ran for Parliament, then she might be in with a good shout. And of course Labour, this was a Labour seat for many years and they desperately want it back. So you've got three possible winners there. I think I've got 4 or 5 to 1 on the Lib Dems. I think it's now down to about 5 to 2. It's still probably value on that. Anything above 6 to 4 on any of them is probably good value.
When we look at long-term trends, which is of course what's always important in polling, you're looking at the difference between talking points and turning points. The distinction between what we call V-shaped trends and L-shaped trends. In other words, something where opinion actually changes and then sticks rather than staying. It's very, very uncommon that incidents like that occur. You get the V-shaped spikes. You got it with Tony Blair during the petrol crisis. You got it with David Cameron during his arguments with Europe. But things don't tend to stick. And I can't really see something happening over the next 12 months that will cause a massive spike like that. The last time we saw something like that was in September 1992 with Black Wednesday and the Conservative Party's economic competence collapsing overnight virtually and their polls changing rapidly. I really can't see that happening in the next 12 months, but you never know. A lot of strange things could happen. A week is a long time in politics and we've got a lot of weeks left.
Big question. I think that probably it's going to be Labour are going to probably win most seats, not necessarily a majority, but I think the Conservatives are going to win most votes because, of course, the electoral system works in a manner which is very beneficial to Labour, not to the Tories. And so overnight we had this Lord Ashcroft poll, which had the Tories 2% ahead. If you fed that into the seat predictors, that produced a Labour lead on seats of about 20, but below the majority threshold. So it's going to be very tight in terms of seats, maybe with Labour edging ahead, but the Tories I think probably will win most votes.
Top line response, I think we're headed for another hung Parliament. I think we could potentially see a situation where the Conservatives win the most votes, but Labour wins the most seats. We might not see that, but I'm certain that what we will see is something very, very close. And so if it is a majority for one party, it will be a small majority. But I think the most likely outcome is a hung parliament. And then the question is, what happens? And that polling can't really help with. I imagine that this time around, the Liberal Democrats will be able to side with either Conservative or Labour to form a coalition if they want to. But of course, in order to do that, they have to go through what's called the triple lock. Their members, their national executive and their MPs all have to agree to go into coalition again. They all have to have a vote and agree on it. I think if potentially they lose half their votes, they probably won't lose half their seats. If they lose half their votes as a result of being in coalition, they might struggle to sign that off again. And so I think a likely option is that the Lib Dems will then go into some sort of informal partnership with a minority government of led either by the Conservatives or by Labour.